In 1908, a Ford Model T rolled off the assembly line with zero safety features, no radio, no air conditioning, and a top speed of 45 miles per hour. Today, cars park themselves, slam on the brakes before you react, and some can drive you home while you sleep. What happened in between? In the next 10 minutes, we're going through the complete timeline of how automobile technology went from mechanical chaos to artificial intelligence. Let's go. The early 1900s were brutal. Cars had no windshields, no turn signals, and no standardized controls. You literally had to crank start the engine by hand, a process that broke wrists and killed people when the engine backfired. The first major upgrade came in 1912, when Cadillac introduced the electric starter. No more hand cranking. Then, in 1916, mechanical windshield wipers arrived. In 1926, the first all-steel enclosed body was popularized, replacing wooden frames. By the 1930s, cars had radios, which was genuinely controversial. The government debated banning them because they were seen as dangerously distracting. Sound familiar? World War II changed everything. Military technology filtered into civilian cars fast. Power steering arrived in 1951. Chrysler put it in the Imperial, and it was a revelation. Automatic transmission became widely available through the 1950s, making driving dramatically more accessible. Then, in 1959, came arguably the single most important safety innovation in automotive history. Volvo engineer Niels Bohlin invented the three-point seatbelt. Volvo gave the patent away for free because they decided saving lives mattered more than profit. That one decision has saved over 1 million lives. By the 1960s, disc brakes were replacing drum brakes, and the muscle car era was pushing engines to levels that would be unrecognizable to early motorists. The 1970s oil crisis forced an engineering rethink. Cars had to get efficient, fast. Fuel injection systems began replacing carburetors, delivering fuel more precisely and burning less of it. Then, in 1978, the anti-lock braking system, ABS, was introduced in production cars by Bosch and Mercedes-Benz. For the first time, you could slam the brakes in a skid and actually maintain steering control. The 1980s brought the onboard diagnostics revolution. Cars started having computers. The first OBD system meant mechanics could plug in a device and actually read what was wrong, instead of guessing. Airbags also became mainstream in this era. Mercedes introduced them in 1981. The 90s were when cars started feeling modern. GPS navigation arrived in consumer vehicles in the early 90s. Electronic stability control, the system that detects when your car is about to spin out and automatically corrects it, became available in 1995. Studies estimate ESC reduces fatal rollover crashes by up to 50%. Backup cameras, once limited to expensive luxury vehicles, started appearing mid-decade. Then, in 1997, Toyota launched the Prius, and the hybrid era began. By the 2000s, Bluetooth connectivity, satellite radio, and touchscreen infotainment were rapidly becoming standard. The car had transformed from a mechanical machine into a rolling computer. Tesla changed the conversation completely. The Model S in 2012 wasn't just an electric car, it was a software platform on wheels. Over-the-air software updates meant your car could literally improve overnight while you slept. Features that didn't exist when you bought the car could appear months later. Meanwhile, the rest of the industry scrambled. Lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, and blind spot monitoring went from luxury extras to standard equipment. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto arrived in 2014 and 2015, turning the dashboard into a smartphone extension. The modern car was now connected to the internet, constantly collecting data and increasingly driving itself. We are living in the most dramatic decade in automotive history. Fully autonomous vehicles are being tested on public roads at scale. Cars now have cameras pointed in every direction, radar systems, LiDAR sensors, and neural networks processing millions of data points per second. Electric vehicles have gone from novelty to mainstream. By 2025, over 20% of new car sales globally were fully electric. Subscription-based features have arrived, where manufacturers charge monthly fees to unlock heated seats or performance modes you've already paid for. And AI assistants are replacing traditional infotainment systems entirely. The question is no longer whether cars will drive themselves, it's when, and what happens to the 100 million people whose jobs depend on driving. 100 years. From a hand-cranked tin box to a 2-ton AI-guided computer that sees in the dark, communicates with other cars, and updates itself while you sleep. We've covered the full arc, and honestly, the next 20 years might be more dramatic than there.